Another one. Another one. Touchdown Jags! Ball game!
Another Jags podcast.
Welcome, everyone, to another Jags podcast, episode 43. We are here with Jason, Joey, and myself. It's not going to be a fun episode, unfortunately, but you know what? Whether the Jags win or lose, we are here to say that we will be here for you every single week, week in and week out. We will continue to show up and do this show, win or lose, ugly or not. And so that is our promise to you, and we're showing that to be true tonight as we are here. Not exactly super excited, but, you know, it is what it is. The Jags are our team, right? They're our team. Yeah. And so we're gonna talk about the game against the Colts. We're gonna talk about what we expect to happen. What does this loss mean for the Jaguars? And that conversation could go all sorts of different ways. But before we get to our conversation tonight, we, as always, want to remind everyone that we are on Twitter at Another Jags Pod, Facebook and Instagram at Another Jags Podcast. We're also on YouTube. Search Another Jags Podcast, and you'll find all our episodes there. And even make some comments if you like. Joey has been known to go on there and answer some questions and get into some discussions. So
we'll respond on YouTube. Facebook, maybe not. YouTube, absolutely.
Yeah, I don't know the difference there, but apparently that's his favorite.
That's surprising to me. When Joey told me he was responding to YouTube comments, I was...
Makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. But I have no idea why either. It just happens that way.
I'm sure your employer would be proud.
Yeah, I guess so.
So anyway, you can find us on all those social platforms and all that good stuff. Please continue to give us your feedback because we want to include you in the show. This is not just us. This is y'all as well. So make sure to give us your questions and your feedback, your concerns, and we'll incorporate it. So let's get right to it, guys. Let's not pull any punches tonight. The Jags had a rough first half defensively. The offense was pretty good, I think, overall. But the bottom line is they lost. They are now 3-6, 0-3 in the division. Is the season over?
I mean, I guess that depends on what your definition of the season being over means. I mean, absolutely.
What?
That's a political answer.
What are you talking about? Are we going to make the playoffs or not?
Okay, no.
Well, that's the season to me. What's the season to you?
The season to me is there's still a lot that could happen.
A fun season where we win 6 games? That's the season to you?
Hey, 3-6 is not going to scare
Jason's
me,
coming out swinging tonight.
Come on,
I mean, 3-6 is nothing.
What do you mean?
I've been a Jags fan for years. 3-6, that's great. Many years, man. We got lots of potential coming up. Yeah, the playoffs are done with. We're not winning the division. That was a make or break game in my mind. I don't see us sneaking into a wild card. So, I mean, what? Do you stop watching? Do you tank? What do you do for us this season then, Jason?
You don't stop watching. For all intents and purposes, the season's over. I mean, we'd have to win out to make the playoffs. Am I wrong?
I don't know if that's...
I mean, it's possible. If we win out, we go 10-6. Then we might the same record we have last year, right?
I think it would be a stretch at that point, too, though.
I mean, the season is over. I'm going to watch every game. I'm going to the game against Pittsburgh. But the season's over. I mean, we are not making the playoffs. It's time to start addressing changes that need to happen next year. And if the only change to y'all is to get healthy, now, I'll listen to that. But to act like there's something to play for at this point, besides pride, I'm not hearing it.
Well, that's a good question because there is something to play for, which is pride. They're not making the playoffs, but that doesn't mean they can't finish 8-8 as opposed to 3 and whatever. I mean, do you want them to just go out there and not try for the rest of the season and look like crap? I'd much prefer that they show,
of course,
some pride in what they do.
I don't want them to look like crap, and I want them to play for pride, but
I mean, I would say that last game, they looked much better. The offense looked pretty dang good. I mean, they didn't make many mistakes. It was a solid offense. Our defense lost it for us. So if our defense can step it back up, I mean, we've got something to work with Fournette back. So, I mean, I'd like to see a couple of them run off a couple wins.
I mean, I would too, obviously. I'm going to root for a win every week. I'm not one of those guys that wants to play for draft position. But if we're being honest here, like the players gave up weeks ago. I mean, to see the way these guys played, they've given up. There's no fire. The rookies are the only guys that are playing hard, and you can watch them and you can see these rookies, and they're not even getting that many snaps. I mean, are you kidding me? Taven Bryan, what do you have, like 11 snaps? Are you serious? Like Leon Jacobs, 4 snaps. Ronnie Harrison, like 8 snaps. Like,
that's a great point. I would like them to bench anybody that's not a rookie and let the rookies play.
I gotta try to stay on.
Put him in.
I gotta try to stay on our script here because I will just.
No, I like this. I'm just sitting back. watching Jason. This is why you didn't want to record last night.
You can't. That would have been really good.
I was at my all-time worst yesterday during the game. I'm not one to get emotional or angry, but yesterday I was so upset because there's no reason that we should have even been competitive against the Colts. We should have destroyed the Colts.
Scale of 1 to 10. How angry were you?
10. And I don't throw that around like loosely.
But you're also, I mean, kind of.
We came on the podcast and we said the only thing the Colts do is throw to the tight ends. We said that. We said, look at their grades. Ebron, the new dude, Ali, whatever his name is, Ali Cox. Rookie, Jack Doyle. We said, look, this is the only thing they do is they throw to the tight ends. And you have a bye week and a week to prepare and you leave him wide open twice?
It wasn't intentional. Telvin.
Of course
Church,
it wasn't intentional.
I mean, I'm just saying, we said they quit. I'm saying that they were trying and confused, which is even worse. I mean, I'll take quitting. They were lost. I don't know what the heck's going on with our linebackers and our secondary, but they had no idea what was going on multiple plays. 4 out of those 5 long plays they weren't in the right spot. They had no idea who was supposed to pick up who. And that is just unacceptable. I'll take bad play. I'll take, making an error, but that's just, I can't, that's upsetting.
How many times did CBS go to a shot of our defensive players after a big play, looking at each other going, where were you? What were you supposed to be? I mean, they were all just scratching their heads.
Yeah. Telvin and Church looked at each other like 3 or 4 times, just like arms up in the air, shaking their head like, what's going on? I mean, is Paz being gone that big of a deal for our defense?
I mean, Paz played 40% of the snaps. He wasn't out there all the time. I think if you're talking about missing Paz, which a lot of people have started saying, I think that's more a locker room thing than it is on the field issue. I mean, to me, I look at this defense, and you got Calais Campbell, who I actually thought played really well.
He played well.
Malik Jackson, Telvin Smith, Unique Ngakoue, Miles Jack, Barry Church. I mean, these guys, all of them can't all of a sudden be bad. At some point you have to, ask the question, is this on Todd Wash? Like Jason has already said, after a bye week, to look that unprepared after a bye week in what I don't think coaches are ever going to come out and say it because they just never do, but that was a must-win game, and they knew that. They knew they cannot go down 0-3 in the division, 3-6 overall, and have a chance to make the playoffs realistically. Mathematically, sure, they might still be in it, but come on. To be that unprepared in the first half is just absolutely ridiculous. And we say that they pitched a shutout in the second half, and they did, but there was a couple major drops that the Colts had that attributed to that. Telvin Smith should have never gotten that interception. The ball that Andrew Luck threw to that guy hit him right in the numbers. It could not have been a better throw. The guy just let it bounce off his chest, and Telvin did make a great play after that to catch it, but it should have been caught by the Colts. That was a huge play. So they would have probably scored points there. At what point do you have to start wondering what this coaching staff is going to look like next year with almost the exact same roster on defense? I know we've had injuries. Most of that has been on offense, most of that. But on defense, it's looked pretty much the same.
Marone definitely knew. If you heard the press conference afterwards, I mean, he sounded like somebody kicked his dog. I mean, he was just deflated. He's talking about the fact that the missed coverages and people being wide open. I mean, he sounded just like he knew. He knows. He absolutely knows, and he knows that something has to change. I think he's aware of that now. I'm not one to jump on the fire a coach bandwagon, but I mean, with our defense, they keep saying that we run a vanilla package. We don't do anything, as far as fancy packages go, and it really seems like everybody's figured out that easy package, and they're able to do what they want to us now.
I disagree so much with you, Joey.
Go for it. What, Marone wasn't sad after the game? He was happy?
No, the whole vanilla package thing. Like we had so much time in the off season to look at the games last year. Went back and rewatched every game from last year at least 5 times. I mean, it's the off season, and this off season I'm probably gonna do the same thing with the games this year. Our defense ran a straight man defense most of the time last year. Straight man on man, with one deep safety playing in the back, with Tayshaun Gibson playing back, Church in the box playing the tight end or the running back or the third receiver. Everyone else in the box, man for man, no problems. This year, all of a sudden, we're zone blitzes, cover 2, cover. It's like this defense might be better just straight playing man. If you're in straight man, there's no confusion on who's supposed to be covering the tight end. Okay? Yeah, they're in the NFL. That shouldn't happen anyways. I agree. But it didn't happen last year because they were in man. And the person that you lined up in front of was your guy. And if they motioned across the field, you went with them. And that's what they played all last year.
So why the change then? We basically have the same personnel.
I don't know if it's because
upgrades.
Pause is gone. I don't know if it's because we've had injuries at defensive back. I don't know if it's because
they were doing that way before defensive back injuries. I mean, that was
well, we're not getting pressure with the D-line like we did last year. I mean, I don't know. Maybe the coaching is just bad and they want to change things up and they wanted to try to trick. I don't know what they're doing, but it's a completely different defensive scheme. Absolutely different. Pause is, like James said, Pause played 40% of the snaps. How much has that third linebacker played in our defense, Leon Jacobs? He plays like 4 snaps a game. Mm-hmm. Okay? So fix the linebacking core. Get a third linebacker in there that can come in and play 40% of the snaps. We said that in the offseason. We said, could this team draft a linebacker in the first round? No, they didn't. They drafted Leon Jacobs. They didn't go out and sign a linebacker.
In the 7th round.
In the 7th, yeah. They didn't address the problem that they had. Okay, so then they had a defensive back, Aaron Colvin, that played the other 60% of the snaps. Did they go out and address Aaron Colvin? They did. They went and got DJ Hayden,
who played fantastic the first part of the season. I mean, I think
has been a hurt. Yeah. And I wouldn't say he played fantastic last week, but I mean, I'll give him a pass.
First part of the season.
It's a totally different defensive scheme.
So since we're talking about differences, let's start with the defense because that should be a quicker conversation of what do they change? What do they do? Defensive coordinator gone. Would you agree there?
Yeah.
Okay. So what about from an actual player standpoint?
Player standpoint, you bring in a linebacker you trust. A linebacker that you don't have to train. You don't have to bring in Ronnie Harrison to play that big linebacker safety hybrid that he's doing. It's why change your scheme? It was so successful last year. Why change? I just don't get it.
Do you think it's because of Miles Jack? He can't handle it?
No.
I don't think Miles Jack's the problem. If anything, Telvin's had the biggest drop off. And he ended up Telvin played a great second half. He's just week after week, Telvin is playing really bad in the first half. And it's just,
I agree.
It's just hard to know like what's happening.
Is that Telvin though, or is that coaching? I mean, because I can't imagine Telvin. He's not slower. He's just as strong. I don't think he's gotten dumber since he's the same guy. If anything, he should be still progressing.
Right.
Yes, in the stage of his career where he's at, he should be getting better. And that's kind of my point in all this. I just can't imagine an entire roster of defensive players. Almost all 11 are back, save one, and Aaron Colvin, and they just can't all collectively at the same time be worse. I just can't buy that. So at some point you have to start questioning the coaching, and already, Jason didn't say it specifically, but they didn't address the linebacker situation. Not really, unless you consider starting a 7th round draft pick as addressing, replacing Paul Posluszny. I mean, so how much of that goes to the front office then? I mean, listen, this is this was a bad loss in so many different ways, not just record-wise, not just what it does for the season, but what it does for the franchise. There's a lot of questions that have to be answered, and fingers are eventually going to start getting pointed.
Oh, they already are.
Yeah, they are.
Jalen Ramsey.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's reports. I don't know how much Tony Baselli's kind of hasn't been doing the greatest job recently, but he came out today and said that Jalen Ramsey was straight playing man when the defense was called zone. And he's out there just doing his own thing.
He knows what he's talking about and that kind of stuff. I mean, he talks to people. I
would generally agree with you, but he's said some things recently where he's just kind of seems like he's playing the blame game as well. He's kind of stuck into this. Let's blame the person who talks the loudest, in my opinion. I don't know.
But Jalen hasn't recently. I'm the biggest critic of his probably out there. Not as a player. I think he's a good player, but as him running his mouth, all that preseason stuff. I said it at the beginning of our podcast that is not good. It can't end well. That doesn't help anything. Puts a target on your back, and we haven't been able to back it up, so it makes us look even worse.
Here's the problem, though. It's not Jalen's fault that we had 2 weeks to prepare for a tight end heavy offense, and we left tight ends uncovered. It's not Jalen's fault that we had an extra point blocked. Are you kidding me? When's the last time you saw an extra point blocked in the NFL? I can't even remember. It's got to be years since an extra point's been blocked. Okay, is it Jalen's fault we had 12 men on the field with 5 minutes left in the first half? Is that Jalen's fault that we had to burn a timeout in the first half, or that Tyler Patman goes off sides on the 2-point conversion, so they get it from the half-yard line and they get a free 2-point conversion out of that? Well, it's not Jalen's fault. Like those are all coaching issues. That's like hey, like, you're a DB. If you're offsides, you're an idiot. Okay? Or, hey, there's 11 guys on the field. This is the package. If we call this package Calais, you got to be off the field. You can't be running off the field as they're snapping the
He's
ball.
a big dude, man. It takes a while sometimes.
I'm just saying, man. It's
okay, none of that's Jalen's fault, obviously. What is Jalen's fault? I know you're a pro football focus guy. Let's look up the rankings for DBs here. What number is Jalen right now?
okay.
I'll tell you, 37.
Okay.
37.
I'm going to put a pin in that in a couple minutes. I'm going
Oh, he's going
to put a pin in that.
Pin in it? What's a pin in it?
Because that's
You gotta let that marinate a little bit?
Joey had that bullet in there in the chamber. He was ready.
He was
Oh.
saving that.
That's my one for the night, guys.
I got one saved for y'all, but it has nothing to do with the defense. It's to do with the offense. So that's when I put a pin in it. But yeah, no, I mean, I agree. I mean, he got burnt by T.Y. Hilton a couple times. But, I mean, he's a DB. I mean, that's going to happen in the NFL. I mean, he plays the hardest position in football.
Especially when they're getting no pressure on the quarterback. I think it's a little... I mean, I understand all your points, Joey, but at the same time, with everything that's going on with the Jaguars right now, to even be talking about Jalen Ramsey at this point, I think is like ridiculous because he's the best player on the team. Yeah, he talks, but he talked last year, and I understand they were winning last year, so you get away with that, but that's just who he is. That comes with the package. And they shouldn't, we all knew that going into when they drafted him. I mean, look at how he played at FSU. He's the exact same way. He has not changed at all. And he's the best player on the team. There's a million other things that we need to be addressing. To me, Jalen Ramsey shouldn't even be in the discussion.
I agree. He just bothers me. And there's a difference between talking last year when you're getting into your opponent's head, which is helping your team and helping you win, versus going into a nationally publicated magazine and ripping the entire league, or ripping the local media, or putting out today, you guys going to miss me when I'm gone.
Well, who knows what that is? I mean, that's just a ridiculous tweet.
Yeah.
I mean, how Jason feels about when we talk about the guy who used to play defensive end for the Jags that got traded. That's how I feel about when we talk about Jalen Ramsey. Like, let's just move on. It's a non-story to me.
There's plenty of other stuff that needs to be fixed. I agree. He's a good player. I'll leave it at that.
There you go. Fair enough.
How about something positive?
Okay.
Lots of positive.
Are you down for a little positive fact?
Yeah.
So Pro Football Focus had an offensive team of the week. Guess who the tight end was?
O'Shaughnessy?
Austin Safarian-Jenkins.
James O'Shaughnessy.
Oh,
O'Shaughnessy.
No, I'm not talking like AFC. I'm not talking AFC South. I'm talking NFL, PFF.
How did he get it over Ebron? He scored 3 touchdowns.
Because my boy James O graded out over 90 on Pro Football Focus. You know why? Because he is a legitimate blocker. All right. When they ran that end around to D.D. Westbrook on the jet sweep, O'Shaughnessy had the defender like just running him backwards, like down the field just as fast as D.D. was. I was like, dang, dude, I see you, James O'Shaughnessy.
He played well.
That dude can block. He can catch. He had a good game receiving.
Breakout player.
He was clutch
Breakout
on,
player
he was
of the year.
clutch on that fake kick.
Yeah.
I mean, big time. And you talk about Dede, they finally threw to him before the second half of the game.
Yeah,
They handed it to him.
the first
That's
throw-
a great idea. Yeah.
The first throw to him, like, he juked somebody and like ran fast. I'm like, dude, that guy, it looks good. Why don't we do that more?
I don't remember what podcast it was, but there was a certain Jags podcast that said they should do that.
Yeah.
To be
I think it was
fair,
2 or 3 ago.
To be fair, that same Jags podcast and podcaster said that Blake Bortles was going to have a Hall of Fame season this year. So I guess you got to take the good with the
Yeah,
bad.
you can't bat 1,000.
An entire team let us down, man. Same podcaster also called the Allen Robinson and also called the Dante Fowler. Come on now.
Allen Robinson's blowing up, by the way.
Good for him, man.
Also
2 touchdowns
PFF
last
player of the week.
Yeah, he had 2 TDs. He played good.
Yeah.
There's other positives, though. I mean, our offense looked good. Blake played well. Blake played more than good enough to win.
Dude,
He almost let him back.
Blake had 5 passes over 10 yards and completed 2 of them.
Dude, he was over 300 yards with 2 touchdowns and no interceptions.
He had 5 passes over 10 yards.
Okay, that's
Do you
probably
realize,
the
like,
coach's
think of-
fault. He's not
How's it
calling
the
all the
coach's
plays.
fault?
He's not calling all
Oh,
the
the coaches
plays.
aren't calling plays with receivers running down the field?
Doubtful, because they're not there. They don't
No,
get there
he's just
fast
checking down because he's like, I'm not going to turn the ball over, which is smart, but let's not act like he played a great game.
enough. That's a
I
pretty
think
good
the
game.
fact that Fournette was there and was able to receive those passes was better than
He played a good Bortles game.
exactly.
For
Exactly.
Bortles, he played
Yes.
a good
Yes.
game. But yeah, he I mean, my goodness, how many times did he just we used to say, check down Chad, and that's what drove people nuts about Chad Henne, but that's what Bortles has become as well. Yeah. I mean, Adam Archuleta, who was doing the color for CBS, just kept saying over and over, you got to throw it downfield eventually.
And he had a couple of really good throws, though. I mean, he had some that were on the money. That one to Rashad Green at the end of the game was on the money. He did,
but at the end of the first half, when they were driving, and they were around inside the 15, I think, he had 3 consecutive throws. The first 2, This is with no timeouts. It was like 30 or 45 seconds left, around a minute or less. Throws it like to the 5-yard line, and incomplete. And then the third one was way out the back of the end zone. Just a terrible sequence. What surprised me was just really how important Leonard Fournette is to this offense, because his numbers don't jump out at you. Is it like 56 yards rushing or something like that?
Like less than 3 yards a carry. But
that's where like things like PFF and the numbers don't tell the whole story of what a player can do for the team, because he changes the entire dynamic of that offense. It's unreal. And so I love seeing him back. I thought, if you didn't know he had been hurt the last 6 games or whatever, you wouldn't have known, because they gave him a heavy workload, and I loved it. I
mean, I was a little worried about his fitness, but it didn't show. I mean, they rode him hard, and he did good.
They threw one screen to him where you just saw him. He stopped, and then he waited for a hole, and I mean, he just hit the gas. It was unreal. I mean, the guy is so big and so fast.
He's a game changer.
No
doubt about it. I mean, it
was awesome to have him for a whole game.
First time this year.
Yeah, and we should have won, but we should have won a bunch of games this year. So. Who does that bench fall on? If you look at multiple games over and over again, like, man, we should have won that game, but we didn't. Like, who does that fall on? To me, it's the coaches. I love Marrone as a person. I really, really do. But I've questioned a lot of his decision-making in games and adjustments since he's taken over. And I think he might have gotten away with it last year because of the talent he had on the team. But I think it's really starting to show this year. It's just like he doesn't, when he takes timeouts, the random times he goes for it on 4th down. I mean, I like his aggressiveness, but the amount of snaps he's given players. I mean, Taven Bryan cannot be playing under 10 snaps. That's the bottom line. Like, he hasn't. It's not like he's like, oh, he's a liability on the field. Whenever he's on the field, he's eating up double team blocks. Whenever they show him, like, he's not playing bad. So why is he not getting snaps? Why isn't Ronnie Harrison getting snaps? It makes no sense to me. Like,
do you think he's lost the team?
Absolutely. I don't know if he had the team at the beginning of the season.
Really? Why do you say that?
Again, back to Jalen with all the stuff going on with him. You got the fights on practice. I mean, it just seems like it's snowballed from there. I think that was a small start of it, and he's absolutely lost the team. I mean, you talk about the defense, same players, same speed, same strength. They haven't got any dumber, but what they have had, they might have given up. They're tired of trying to carry the offense to some extent, and I think at this point, they're not playing as hard. That's the difference. That's why they're not playing as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible. I don't know if I can go so far to say all the way back in the preseason or not, but game management has been a little iffy. And at some point, as the head coach, you have to take over if your coordinators aren't getting the job done. And both coordinators this year have been, questionable at best. So let me ask you guys this. Who gets the most blame for the loss yesterday? You can either name a player, a coach, a coordinator, or whatever you want. But if you had to pinpoint one thing, one person, who gets the most blame for the loss yesterday?
For me, it's Todd Wash. Because, like I kind of alluded to earlier, if he would have came out and just called cover 1 the entire game, I don't think we lose the game. And I understand, they'll figure it out and they'll make adjustments. You can't get worse than what we were yesterday, especially in the first half. I mean, the game, look up and it's 21-7, and it's the second quarter just started. You're just like, what? Like, what just happened? Like, this isn't the LA Rams. This is the Indianapolis Colts.
We're not playing KC.
Yeah, again. We're not playing KC. Like, it's 21. They have 21 points, and we're just starting the second. Like, it's Todd Wash, dude. Go out there, run man defense. Put a guy on a guy in front of him, and just see what happens. Because I guarantee you're not going to give up that many points off the rip.
Yeah, I have to agree. I mean, I think Luck sent Walsh a bottle of scotch and a thank you card after that game because he made him look even better than he is. For sure. I mean, players looking that confused and miss coverages, make some changes, do something. I mean, he didn't do anything until the second half, so I agree.
Yeah, by that point, it wasn't too little too late because we still had a chance to win it at the end, but yeah, it has to be washed. And I mean, they've had some blowout losses, but what is just killing me is the confusion. I mean, like we've already said, and we'll say it again, I'm sure, this year is they just look completely lost. Professional football players who have all played together, who had all this chemistry last year, are looking around at each other going, what are you doing? You know, I mean, that is a terrible, terrible look. And, you know, not to get ahead of ourselves, but we got a team coming in with real weapons all over the place this week. And the Steelers, where who knows what it's going to be like. I mean, they're clicking on all cylinders as well. And they actually have legit weapons all over the place.
A quarterback who can throw the ball down the field.
Right. Best wide receiver, one of the best wide receivers in the game. I mean, it's, I don't know. It could get worse before it gets better.
Yeah, next week's not going to be good.
I think that was our preview for the game. We're not really much to expound on there. Okay, so let me ask you guys this. I think we all agree that Todd Wash is the most to blame for the loss against the Colts. So does this loss mean the dreaded word rebuild for the Jaguars?
I'll start so Jason can completely rip me apart on his own.
Thank you.
I don't think so. I mean, we've got too much talent to rebuild. I mean, I do think we have some key components that need to be fixed. Quarterback's obviously one of them at this point, but I think wide receiver even more so. Really dropped the ball on that. Talking about the beginning of the podcast, really thought those guys were going to make a leap. We had some young guys that were going to do well, and we still do. But for the most part, man, they stink.
Keelan Cole, how many targets did he have yesterday?
Hopefully none. 0. I don't think he did. Yeah, because he shouldn't be on the team anymore. I mean, he had a shot.
So what does the word rebuild mean? Can we just define that? Because does that mean we win 5 games next year? Because we might win 5 games this year. So does this year count as year 1 of the rebuild? Or
rebuild to me means you blow it up and you start over. It's a start over.
I mean, we're not a team that has all this cap room where we can just blow it up and bring in these free agents. I mean, we have money guaranteed to a lot of people for the next couple of years. If we're rebuilding, it's going to be a long rebuild. So that's why I'm going to say no. Do we bring in a veteran quarterback to try to salvage who we've paid money to? Maybe not a bad idea, but our quarterback is one of those guys we've paid a lot of money to. So we're in a tough spot here, and our only saving grace at this point, in my opinion, is if we get Marquise Lee back and Safarian Jenkins next year, and they just turn out to be a lot bigger piece to the puzzle than we thought. And if we get those guys back and all of a sudden the offense starts clicking because we have our number 1 wide receiver back, we may be okay. But at this point, we're in a tough spot because our rebuild, given our cap situation, would take a long time.
Yeah, but a lot of guys are possibly gone that are getting paid. I mean, Darius is probably gone, right?
Yes.
Dante's gone. Moncrief.
Probably.
Malik Jackson.
That's the question there.
I mean, that's a boatload of money right there between those 3 players.
Campbell. I mean, if we're rebuilding, they're gone.
You keep Campbell, I think, personally.
Okay.
Church gone.
Yeah, he doesn't have as much money tied up as
and you got a rookie coming in. I mean, there's 3 or 4 players right there that are almost guaranteed to be gone that free up some space. I mean, that's not like a complete blow up rebuild, but that allows us to do some things.
Yeah, but then who are you plugging in those spots? Rookies?
That's not my job. I don't know.
I mean, it becomes a complete rebuild if they're gone, though.
I would say one of those 3 defensive linemen is gone. I don't necessarily think 2. My take is I agree with Joey, more his take than Jason's, but I don't think it's a rebuild. I really don't. I think we have people in place. The reality is we have been crazy injured this year, and that's not a crutch that we can stand on anymore because it's so late in the year, but it is the truth. I mean, Brandon Linder is gone for the year. If no one heard, he's done for the year. Another offensive lineman, another injury for the year. It's crazy. Eric Flowers, gets hurt during the game. It's ridiculous.
You joked about that, which was hilarious. So I'm going to give you some credit on that. Like, what happened to Flowers? Oh, he put a Jags jersey on. Now he's hurt. Yeah, it's immediate.
It's especially if you're a left tackle in the NFL, do not play for the Jags this year because you will get hurt.
So we do get Robinson back next year too. I mean,
yeah, get Cam back, get Marquise Lee back, get Safarian Jenkins back. And I will say this though. I think I believe that Caldwell needs to go. And that to me is where things get really interesting and very gray, because do you find a GM that will come in and kind of inherit this team rather than wanting to completely change it? And I'll say this too: if we're serious about getting back to the playoffs next year and making a Super Bowl run next year, Blake Bortles is not the guy to do it. I mean, this is his 5th year. We've seen everything that we are going to see from him, so it's time to move on from him. If you want to call that a rebuild, I do not think that if you're serious about competing next year, you can draft a rookie quarterback. If you draft a rookie quarterback in the first round, then it is a rebuild. I mean, it just is, and I believe so. Maybe try and go out and get someone via trade or something like that, but I don't know. Here we go. We have the Steelers coming up, which is clearly not going to be an easy game. Very well could be 3-7 after that, and it's just going to keep going. So I still think there's some winnable games in there. I think we could end up with 6 wins on the year. Maybe
6 wins hurts us.
I know. I agree, but I don't think that
teams that were like we thought we were going to beat are like not that anymore.
I know.
The Redskins, the Dolphins,
Texans.
Well, if the Dolphins
Titans,
have, I don't know how hurt
Colts.
Tannehill is, but if Osweiler is still playing and we lose to the Dolphins, I don't know what that's.
Are the
gonna
Dolphins
mean.
worse than the Colts?
Yes, I think so.
Only
because of quarterback.
Osweiler, yes.
Okay.
Because of the quarterback.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay.
But yeah, I think we're probably going to go 0-6 in the division. I mean, there's a very good chance of that happening.
Hey, it's hard to beat a team twice.
Well,
I figured I'd throw that out there. I mean, come on, it's something, right?
The only home divisional game we have left is against the Colts. That's it. We play on the road at Tennessee. We play on the road at Houston.
Yeah, Tennessee's going to be cold. Houston's good.
Thursday night game in Tennessee. I keep saying that. Those are hard for road teams to win. Yeah, we got the Redskins, got the Steelers. It's not, But to go back to the original question, I don't think this has to mean a rebuild. Whether they do or not remains to be seen. But I do think we can come back next year, bounce back quickly from this, get healthy, get a quarterback that you trust a little bit more than just doing checkdowns for the entire second half, trying to get, his first ever come from behind win.
I agree at this point. We need another quarterback, but I don't see it happening. I mean, I think we're going to have Blake again next year, and they're going to draft a quarterback, and that guy's going to take a year or two. I mean, because we're in the same boat as we were last year. I mean, I was not opposed to getting rid of Bortles last year. There was just nobody that I wanted more than Bortles. That would have been that much better for the money.
You don't go out and sign Bortles to an extension if that's your belief.
Yeah, but the extension was very team friendly. It really was.
$30 million is not team friendly no matter how you slice it.
But we can get out of it this next year if we wanted to. But who do you go after? Carr? Yeah, all 4 of those players that I mentioned, they kind of match his contract.
I agree.
So.
I think we have to roll with him next year.
Yeah, which is...
Let me ask you this. If they do that and they draft a quarterback in the first round, how many games into the season next year before Blake throws a Blake?
I don't think they would draft a quarterback in the first round. I think they go receiver, lineman...
From the linebacker.
You have to. I mean, you can't next year. They invested in.
Let's say they have a top 5 pick.
I still think they go receiver. I mean, I think if your process is to draft a quarterback because of what you did this year, you draft a receiver or an offensive weapon, however you want to view that, this year, and then fire everybody next year, and then draft a quarterback the next year. And then do it with your weapons, with Fournette.
You just want Tua.
I do want Tua.
That'd be awesome.
Okay, I didn't want to bring it up. I do want Tua. Okay, but that doesn't. But you see what I'm saying, though.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of where I think they'll go because of what they invested in Blake this year.
All right. I mean, it's
because then you get a rookie quarterback, Tua, and he has an newly drafted offensive weapon, Leonard Fournette, and hopefully an offensive line that's been built up with Norwell and Linder and Cam Robinson. Decent offensive line. You replace some of the guys on the right. You have some good receivers. That's a situation I can live with. It just takes 2 years.
I was going to say what the picture you're painting right now is 2 years
It's
away.
a rebuild.
Yeah,
2 years away.
it's a half
year and a half.
Yeah.
But-
It's a year.
With that being said, I mean, like the right side of your line is one of the easiest spots to fix, right?
I mean,
For the most part,
theory, yeah.
we should be able to do that pretty quickly. So that's not bad.
But I don't think that we have any offensive weapons. Even if we brought in a quarterback this year, who's he going to throw to? Marquise Lee and D.D. Westbrook? That's not realistic. Just isn't. With today's NFL, you got to have like dudes everywhere. So that when one goes down with an ACL, like every team has, you have dudes to step up.
Start scouring the college ranks for wide receivers then.
Okay, so we're all saying that Blake is probably going to be back next year.
Yeah.
But we've also said that Joey thinks that Marrone lost the team in the preseason. We are blaming Todd Wash for the game against the Colts. What happens with the coaches?
I think Marrone's definitely back. You don't go to the AFC Championship game after the seasons we had before that and then get cut. I mean, we stuck with Gus through all that. Marrone's definitely here. But I think the offensive defensive coordinators are gone.
This is a cocky organization. I mean, to fire everybody but Gus and to keep everyone, that's cocky.
Yeah.
That is cocky. And I don't think having one bad year, they're going to be like, oh, we were wrong. I think it's going to take another year. And
do you think they all come back?
yeah.
Wow.
If we finish the season just abysmal on defense, I can see Todd Wash going. But Hackett is Marrone's guy. Todd Wash was Bradley's guy. So you're not going to see I don't know the relationships or their dynamics. I don't know. But I would see Wash leaving before Hackett.
And is Caldwell gone for sure? Is everybody in agreement there?
I think he should be.
I mean, if he is, don't you think that should be like mid-season? You get somebody to come in and kind of learn the team so you're not just starting.
No, for some reason, I have a really funny feeling that we're not going to see any changes, coaches, front office, anything until the season's over. I don't know why.
Because if there's none already?
Yeah, I mean, maybe that's just not Coughlin's way.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I don't know. That's just my personal opinion. I just don't think we're going to see that happen.
Any chance he steps into Caldwell's spot?
You said last week that you think he's a little too old for that. Like he doesn't want it.
I do. But for a couple year run, though, I mean,
yeah.
I think there's just I don't think he wants to do the day-to-day crap, the cutting Greenwich, signing Koyak, and doing that. I don't think he wants to do that, and he wants a guy like Caldwell to do that. He just wants to be like the guy that's like draft this guy, sign this major free agent. He wants to be that guy. So maybe that's why Caldwell stays again, because maybe Caldwell's just doing the day-to-day stuff.
Yeah, maybe so.
And because what's Coughlin doing if he's not doing that? Setting the popcorn prices? No. So he's got to be doing something.
Cashing them checks.
Yeah, I mean,
he needs to lower the parking prices. Is what he needs to do.
Got to ride the JTA shuttle, man. That's on you, bro.
Yeah, true. So we're in agreement then that it's going to be kind of the same team next year.
Yeah,
a few changes here and
win
there.
2 games in draft 2. Yeah.
Hopefully we're just healthy.
Agreement. Yeah. And Tua is going to come in and lead us to the promised land.
This is a 2-part question. What record would demand coaching changes? After 16 games, what record if the Jaguars had would demand that we would have to make changes at coaching, whether it's just on the coordinators or as a head coach? And what record would demand that they all stay?
I mean, we're gonna maybe win a couple more, but I don't think that there's a record that demands that.
So you think regardless of how they finish, everyone's staying?
No, I think either way. I think Walsh is gone, but I think everybody else is there.
Okay.
I'll answer your question.
Thank you.
If we go 10-6, you don't see anything changing, obviously. I think
because that's going to happen.
If they win out.
if they win out,
yeah.
I'm not going to make a bold prediction on myself.
You asked, all right? You asked, all right? And then if they go 3-4, no changes. If they win one more game, I think Wash is gone. So I think 1-6, Wash is gone. I think Hackett stays regardless. And I think if we win 3 games, everyone stays.
Does Hackett just get a pass because of the injuries?
Yeah.
And Bortles?
And Bortles, yeah. And he was with Marrone in Buffalo. I mean, that's his guy. I mean, that's... I think the only time you see a situation where... The only time you see a coordinator get fired when it's a head coach's guy is like half the season before the head coach gets fired. See what I'm saying? It's very rare that a head coach's guy gets fired way before they do. Like, they'll live and die by that guy.
Mm-hmm.
And if Marrone gets another job somewhere else, guess who he's probably going to hire?
Yeah.
Hackett. Because he'll say, we know the X's and O's. These plays should have worked, but given the injuries and given the personnel, they didn't. And if we do the same thing with guys that'll do what we asked them to do, it will work. And that's just how I think these guys think. Again, I think this is a cocky group. I mean, they made no changes. They made no changes to this team.
Not just in the offseason, but during the season.
Exactly.
They're a bunch of old school, hard nosed football dudes. I mean,
and the last,
they're kind of all the same mentality. So, but Hackett has called some good games. I mean, he had some great games last year. The playoffs,
early in the year, he was calling good games.
Patriots game this year. I mean, he's called some.
No, you're right.
Games where you're like, man, guy's got it. But then he goes, has Bortles play or throw 30 times in a row against Philly, and you're like, what is this guy doing? He's almost like Bortles, man.
Yeah, I mean, I actually think of all the coaches, he's probably the least to blame, honestly, just because of who he's got he's working with.
Yeah.
And I also think that the last thing that you want for Bortles, if you're going to keep him next year, is to change the offense.
Yeah, that would be a disaster.
Yeah, so if you just keep him for no other reason than to not throw a wrench in everything for Bortles. He's finally
Bortles. Here's a case of Bud Light and a new playbook, man. Go for it.
Oh, this year's going to be, we're getting Tua for sure. We were saying earlier that, Jason, you're saying the Jags are a cocky group. They didn't make any moves in the preseason, not real, to address certain things. During the regular season, in the last, I think, week and a half, I've seen 4 teams make moves at the wide receiver position. Golden Tate has been moved. Demaryius Thomas has been moved. Des Bryant was signed. Obviously, that didn't work out for him. And now the Saints have signed Brandon Marshall. The Jags continued to stand pat all season long. The biggest move they made was getting Carlos Hyde, who they gave, I don't know how many touches to, like 9, I think, total. 9 snaps. I don't know. I mean, I just have a hard time with Caldwell right now, with him drafting Taven Bryan, not because he's a bad player, but because there was so many other needs other places. Not getting a linebacker until the 7th round. Drafting Will Richardson. The guy's been a complete afterthought this season. When he was healthy, he was a healthy scratch, and then they just put him on the IR to make room for someone else. It's just, I'm having a hard time with Caldwell right now.
I agree with you 100%. I mean,
it was not a great draft.
My question to you would be this. If you found out that Tom Coughlin had a bigger role in all those decisions than Caldwell, would you feel the same way?
I would. Here's why. Because it's not just this draft. It's all of his drafts. Really, all of his drafts. I mean, the thing that gets me about Bortles more than anything is not just how he plays, but how all these other quarterbacks that have been drafted after him have been playing. It kills me. We could name all these quarterbacks that got drafted by other teams since Blake was drafted. And it'll make you want to cry if you envision them in a Jaguar uniform. And that's just one draft pick.
You can say the same thing about Gabbert if you want to stick with quarterbacks. I mean,
yes. Although that's not Caldwell, was it?
No,
that wasn't Caldwell.
No, that was Smith.
That was Smith, I believe. Yeah, that was before his tenure. But then, and I'm not going to say his name because I don't want Jason to get upset, but he also drafted another player 3rd overall who's not even on the team anymore. Say what you will about him as a player, whatever, but he's not on the team anymore. And listen, I could do a whole podcast about Dave Caldwell.
You mentioned Luke Jokel.
Yeah, that's honestly the only one that I give him a pass on because that first round is a historically bad class in terms of the players that were in it.
He was still awful, though.
It's awful. Yes, he was. He was awful.
Was Eric Flowers in that draft?
Was he?
I think he was the first pick, wasn't he?
No, Fisher was.
Okay, Eric Fisher. Okay.
Who's still with the Chiefs, but I remember when they picked up his 5th-year option, it was a pretty big news. Like, people didn't think the Chiefs were going to pick, and that was the first overall player. And I mean, Eric Fisher, first overall player in that draft. That should tell you something about that draft. Anyway, I could keep going, but I'm not. But I'll just say this. I just think Caldwell has done a very poor job as a general manager, and eventually people need to start talking about that more. And see what happens. I mean, look at the Browns this year. What Dorsey, I think his name is Dorsey, their new GM, did in this draft. I mean, amazing. Baker Mayfield. I mean, they had a lot of picks too, which Baker Mayfield, Ward, and Nick Chubb. I mean, give me a break. That's a 3-headed monster right there.
But say what you want. They only have 3 wins too.
Yeah, but I think that had to do with the coach that was hired that wasn't the GM's guy.
Yeah.
Now they've got him out of there, and we'll see what could happen.
I mean, we talked about it a little bit last night, though. I mean, there's only so many GMs there. I mean, that are available, and the good ones don't really go anywhere. So you get a retread from another team of a guy who did okay, maybe not I mean, that's one of the toughest spots to fill, I think.
Yeah, I think this year's more on Coughlin. But I'm with you. Caldwell hasn't been good in the past, but I really expected Coughlin to come in this year and kind of put his foot down and be,
Where's he been the past few weeks, too? Have you guys heard or seen or anything from him in the past, 3 to 4 weeks?
I think that's the role he likes, though.
Yeah, but he still comes out and says something. I mean, he makes comments and you hear stuff.
You haven't heard anything from Caldwell, though, either.
Yeah, it's true.
I don't know. It's going to be one of those things that's impossible to determine because no one is saying who does what between the two of them. But I think everyone thought Coughlin was going to be the savior this year for some, because he came last year and, he had the Midas touch, but not so much this year. Well, what do y'all think? Do you want to give any thoughts at all to the Steelers game this Sunday? It's been flexed to 1 p.m. Is there any real?
I mean, we've got their number like the Titans have ours. I mean, that's one thing you can throw out there. I didn't think we were going to beat them twice last year. I mean, there's been multiple years that we win 3 or 4 games and Steelers might be one of them. So, I mean, there's always a chance, but man, dude, they've looked so good in that Thursday night game last week. I mean, they were just clicking. We're going to get throttled, I think.
I don't think they're going to get throttled. I think
Eternal optimist.
Yeah, I think Fournette is going to play better this week because he's kind of. It's his first week back, and how long? I mean, just imagine what he'll be this week. I mean, if we can control the ball better than we did last week, and we don't have those stupid penalties and those stupid turnovers, we should have beaten the Colts. I understand the Steelers are playing better, but we're playing at home. Love the home crowd. We got to remember Fournette and Hayden are just now getting back, and it's going to take them a little bit to get back to their good form. So I don't think we get throttled. I think we surprise people here. I think the defense plays angry. I think they simplify the defense this week because that's what they should do.
Are they going to be angry towards the Steelers or each other because they don't know where they're going to be on the field?
I think the defense will be simplified. Like I said, I think they're going to go do a straight man or just an easy cover 2 like they did in high school. They're not going to do this crazy stuff. They're going to put these guys out there, and, Big Ben's good, but we have his number. So,
are you predicting a win?
I am.
Oh, my goodness.
Predicting a win.
Okay, a win by the Jaguars.
Hard to beat a team. It's hard to beat a team 7 times in a row, right, Joey?
That is true. that is one of those things.
What have we lost 6 in a row? Or we have 5 in a row right now.
We're at 5 in a row.
Okay, it's hard to beat a team 6 times in a row.
Fournette definitely makes a difference, man. But he played a whole game. That hammy's got to be pretty tight right now. I mean, he's probably sitting at home right now with ice on it and man, I don't know.
I mean, it's a home game.
Joey hates our 2 best players. Y'all notice that?
I know.
And he
hates anybody that's good.
Right.
He just wants people that are playing really underwhelming, like Telvin Smith.
Neither one of them have a good backstory, and neither one of them play with a chip on their shoulder, man. I mean, they suck.
Jalen doesn't play with a chip on his shoulder
all
whatsoever.
When's the last time we had a home game? Was it the Texans we lost?
Yes.
Okay, so we have been away. We've been in London. We've been on the road. We get home, get these guys home to their families, chill a little bit.
So, Jason, you being at the game is going to make all the difference, is what you're saying?
Absolutely. I'm going to throw bottles on the field like it's the old Cleveland Browns game.
Whole thing of nachos. Wait, those are expensive. Never mind.
At the refs.
I think they're going to lose. I think they're going to lose pretty bad because the Steelers remember what the Jags cost them last year, and if they have their foot on the throat, they're just going to keep stomping on it, and it could get pretty bad. And what I'm concerned with is if it does get bad, when does the chirping at each other start? And when that happens, then the season is really going downhill really quick. I will say this. Like Joey's mentioned, we do have the Steelers' number. So it's something to tune in for and see. If they won, I wouldn't be incredibly shocked. It would be like, well, it's just one of those things, just like the Titans with the Jags. But after this past Sunday, I just can't, in my right mind, pick the Jags to win that game. Do we know if James Conner, is he playing with a concussion?
It seems like it was kind of mild. I don't think he's going through the whole protocol, but I've not seen an update on it. It definitely doesn't look like Bell's showing up, though, as of 30 minutes ago, which is insane. But, I mean, Connor's going to play, I believe, and he's got 400-yard games in a row. I mean, maybe 5. He's good. Either way, it's going to be fun to watch. I mean, Antonio Brown, great player to watch. Big Ben, great player to watch. I mean, Connor's been a ton of fun. So I definitely think that Steelers are going to win.
I mean,
but
you even mentioned Juju Smith-Schuster or any of their tight ends that
they do have some beastly tight ends.
Vance McDonald and
Well, luckily, that's our strength.
Jesse James.
Our strength is over the middle.
covering
We don't
tight
have to worry
ends.
about that at all.
You're right. The Steelers are, quote, optimistic that James Conner will not miss any time with a concussion.
Yeah, which if it's a concussion, you can't be. If it's serious, you can't be optimistic because dude's going to be out. So I think he's definitely going to play, and he's fun to watch too, man. And you're talking about backstory. That guy's been through it.
Their offensive line is good too. I mean,
Their defense is actually playing okay too. I mean, they're not great, but they're doing okay. So it doesn't match up well for us at all, other than the fact that it's the Steelers, and for some reason we always do play good against them. So I hope so. I hope Jason's right. That would be phenomenal.
well, let me ask you this: does Tyson Alualu get a revenge sack in this game?
Yes.
That'd be cool. I like Tyson.
That's all I have for that game.
Yeah. Just line him up against the left tackle. Whoever it is.
Which we don't know. They're
Could be
looking-
Jason by the end of the game.
They are
Put
looking.
me in.
They're looking
That's
for
what I
him
came
right
for.
now.
I've only had 2 drinks. I got it.
Anyone want to make a bold prediction? I think Jason already did just by
we're gonna
picking the
win.
Jags to win.
That's the boldest. Of the
Joey,
bold.
you got a bold prediction?
I do. I'm gonna go with Jason's boy, and I do think Shaughnessy catches a touchdown pass,
Hey.
Okay. All right.
and that's gonna be our only 7.
Oof. All right. I'm going to say Ramsey has a pick 6.
That'd be fantastic.
Why not?
Can I make a bold prediction on top of mine? Because
Yes.
I understand that the Jags winning is bold.
It feels good to actually make a bold prediction instead of like a kind of bold one, doesn't it?
I don't know. Picking the Jags to win is a
Thank
pretty
you.
bold
That's
prediction.
what I'm saying. That's what I mean. It's the first time he's ever done it, so he wants to do it again.
So here's what's going to happen, Joey. It's not bold. It's going to happen. You can tell me if this is bold or not, because apparently my standards don't. I mean, Shaughnessy catching a touchdown, that's bold.
Pretty
Their
bold.
best offensive player, and of course he's going to
It's
score a
their
touchdown.
best offensive
Number
player.
1 graded PFF tight end.
That's right. PFF Player of the Week. I think that Bortles has over 75 yards rushing.
Yeah,
Oh, I like it.
I do too.
Is that forwards
pretty
or
bold.
backwards?
Or side to side.
Yeah. Ah! It's like Tecmo Bowl.
No, that's a good one.
Yeah. Well, that's it. So take it or leave
Is
it.
that going to be our only rushing yards of the game?
No, I think Fournette goes off too. I think we win. So
All right. He called it.
it's all right.
That's
It's a lock.
That is
Heard it
amazing.
here first, boys. And Orlando Magic win the next 2 games.
Wow, that's even bolder.
Might be.
Did they win 2 games all last season?
Well, they just won 2 games before tonight, so yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Blew it.
Resurgence.
They blew it tonight.
Here's kind of a big game. I mean, if we're not mathematically eliminated yet, so we might as well talk about the rest of the AFC South and what's going on this next week. Titans play at the Colts. Who's winning that one?
Titans.
Yep.
Okay. I'm going to pick the Colts just because.
Just because you still think the Titans suck?
No, it's more. I don't necessarily think they suck. I just hate them. I hate their guts. I really do.
I love that logic. That's great.
It's kind of the same way with you and
All are
Jalen-
good, all are
Jalen
good players.
Ramsey.
Yeah, fair enough.
yeah. And we got the Texans at the Redskins.
Ooh.
It's an interesting game.
That's a
Where
good
is
one.
it? It's at the
It's
Redskins.
at
Redskins.
Washington.
Huh. Texans.
I'm going to take Washington on that one. Texans got to have a loss at some point. They can't just keep winning.
Same. I'm going to pick the Redskins as well.
It's hard to
So-
beat teams 6 times in a row.
It
right,
is.
Joey.
It
You know?
absolutely is. That's what my grandpappy used to say.
So we have, if Jason's right, they could gain a game on the Texans. No, wait, you picked the Texans?
I did, yes.
Okay.
And the Titans.
So it's kind of a push.
Yeah.
All right.
On the Colts, though.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
something.
Yeah. Maybe we won't finish last in the division. Oh, I cannot believe that's a possibility. Not just a possibility, but kind of a strong possibility.
Yeah.
Unreal. But you know what? It doesn't change our affection for the team.
No, it doesn't.
No. We
No.
still love our Jaguars. We're still here making these podcasts every single week. We're going to continue to do that. Make sure to reach out to us on Twitter at Another Jags Pod, Facebook and Instagram, Another Jags Podcast. talk with Joey on YouTube. Search Another Jags
Bring it.
podcast, and
You know what it is?
he can use some friends.
It's the notification system. I get a notification on YouTube when it happens. I don't on Facebook. So
Oh,
there you
sweet.
go.
Man, you
Makes
know
it easy. I just have to push
Hello,
hit a
friend.
button.
Those fancy notification systems.
Yes.
It's real hard to set up.
It is. It's tough. I think that's going to do it for our show. We appreciate everyone listening. We didn't get any Twitter questions tonight because I think, like most of you all, we're too busy mourning the season, and we didn't have any this week, and that's fine. We understand it. I think we're all kind of asking the same questions anyway, but we'll get to those in the next episode for sure. That's going to wrap it up for episode 43. We'll see what happens Sunday as the Jags face the Steelers. You never know. Miracles do happen. Maybe Jason's going to be right. Maybe he won't. But as always, go Jags.